The hat is working. The hat is working. My head's still a little hot today, but that might be some residual sun rays from the previous days. Um, but it's starting to cool. It's starting to get a little bit better for me. It does feel a bit like my ears are sunburned. Feels like my ears are sunburned. One of the very positive things that's happened over the last few days as a result of the weird ass political attacks I've been under lately. Weird ass political attacks that I've been under lately, and the fact that I was able to call up Trevor and have him agree to do an interview with me within like just a couple hours of contacting him. You're so rad, Trevor. You're so rad. One of the very positive things is that it ended up recirculating the article I wrote about him in 2018. And a lot of my political contacts didn't know that about me. They didn't know that I had written that. And so they were very interested. And now there's a lot of interest in advising people on what smear campaigns look like and how do you deal with them. I don't know all the answers to how you deal with them, but I've gotten a lot of contact, and I do apologize to those of you who have reached out to me. I have not had time to read everything. I really have to prep for part 2 of my interview with Trevor tonight, and he's got a lot of court documents he wants me to read. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on this afternoon. That and getting pretty again for part 2. But also, I was offered another social media director role. I think it's unpaid, though. I hope it'd be pretty rad if there was a paycheck, but it's probably a volunteer position. But it's still something I could throw into the volunteer column of my resume. So, it pays to be somebody who is balanced on the whole Me Too thing and realizes that a lot of the claims are serious and some of them are political hits. And it's good to be able to have the intuition to determine which are which. I think one of the things that I wrote to one of my contacts is that this is what I look for in determining whether or not a smear like a Me Too smear campaign, allegations against you. This is what I look for. Is there a victim? Were there witnesses? There's not always going to be witnesses, you guys, but there should at least be a victim, whether named or unnamed. If the victim is named, great, because she or he can speak for themselves. If not, then there should at least be a lawyer representing this unnamed anonymous victim, right? Like there should be a lawyer who's speaking on behalf of that victim, which gets to the next thing. Like, what are the allegations? Like, how serious are they? Are we talking about just like the kind of stuff that is like a civil tort, or are we talking about actual criminal rape charges or something like that? Like actual physical violence? These are things that you need to look for. If it's like a civil tort, then you have to consider it in 2 ways. Is it something serious that could result in actual civil litigation, or is it just a character witness statement? Are you just making a character witness statement? And then what was the result of the lawsuit? What was the final verdict? These things all matter, right? When you're determining whether or not the claim should be weighed in your judgment of the person in front of you. All of these things should be considered. So, that's the advice I give out. Like when I look at these claims, I look at, is there some litigation going on? Because if there's litigation going on, then a lawyer evaluated the case and decided there's at least some level of merit to it. Okay? But then you have to look at the end result. And that's the case with Trevor, right? Like, he was exonerated. He was exonerated, and the accuser ended up having to retract the claims. That is a legitimate smear campaign. We can absolutely see that. Other legitimate smear campaigns are complaining that somebody did the hokey pokey and that sexually violated you. That is a legitimate smear campaign. Other legitimate smear campaigns are complaining that somebody was sexually harassed or assaulted or whatever it is, but you won't name who it was, and instead you're using that information to blame the person that you reported it to and say, well, they didn't handle my claim properly. Well, I mean, there's no lawsuit. You're not naming who the person is. You're saying this person is dangerous enough for you to report that person, but you're not pursuing any justice whatsoever. These are some pretty solid ways of evaluating whether or not you should take something seriously. And yeah, I mean, I know a lot of progressives disagree with me on this point, but Tara Reade never took her stuff to court. She didn't take it to court, and on top of it, she ended up taking money from the GOP to speak at their convention. Those are a highly eyebrow-raising actions that put her claims in question. And there's enough out there on Biden to know that, like, he's creepy, right? He's definitely creepy. But the question is, was he criminal? That's the question. And we don't know. And we'll never know because Tara has never taken him to court. Stormy got a freaking settlement, y'all. There were several people who tried to sue Trump. But he's a little bit like Disneyland, right? He can settle out of court any day of the week because banks keep giving him credit. Anyway, yeah, so that's the silver lining. Even though people are slandering me, it doesn't. Other people are valuing how I'm handling it and how the information that I can bring to the table, knowing how smear campaigns go. So there's that.